Hola, estudiantes de Francisco Lopez. This is a special extra material for your English classes. We're going to explore the incredible story of how your teacher learned English, and at the end, we'll have a small activity for you. Now, let's switch to English.
It's a question your teacher, Francisco, gets all the time. How did you learn English? Well, today we're diving into his answer, and it might just surprise you. See, his journey didn't start in a classroom, but in the video game aisle of a department store.
All right, here's how we're going to break down his story. We'll start with that accidental discovery in his childhood, follow it all the way to how English became a lifelong passion, and hey, stick around because at the end, it's going to be your turn to practice. So let's get started. Our story begins not with a textbook, but with a simple trip to the store. It was just a small moment that, kind of unexpectedly, would change the entire course of his future.
Believe it or not, as a kid, Francisco had absolutely zero interest in learning another language. It wasn't on his radar. What he truly loved, the thing that really captured his imagination, was history.
Then, one day at a store with his dad, the cover of a game box just caught his eye. With its knights and castles, it looked like history literally coming to life. This game would accidentally kickstart his entire journey with English, simply because it tapped into a passion he already had.
So, how in the world did a video game turn into real learning? Well, it happened not in a classroom with textbooks, but right there, in front of a computer screen, while he was busy leading armies and building empires.
The game connected directly to his love for history. You see, he wasn't consciously trying to learn English. He was just trying to lead the Mongols as Genghis Khan. The language wasn't a chore at all. It was just part of the fun. This shows the really natural way he started picking it up. He wasn't memorizing boring vocabulary lists. He was just listening to commands, repeating them out loud, and connecting the words to the actions on screen. It was all driven by one simple desire: to win the game and follow the story. His gaming passion then led him to an even bigger challenge: Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, this game had no Spanish option, and it was famous for its incredibly long story scenes. So what did he do? He sat there with a dictionary, translating it line by line. Now, that's some serious dedication. Of course, gaming wasn't the whole story. As his self-taught interests grew, a more structured, formal education came into the picture, building on the foundation he had already laid for himself. This timeline really shows it was a mix of two things: that informal passion from gaming and a formal education that gave him structure. And get this, he actually disliked his Saturday English classes because he'd much rather have been home playing Age of Empires. But how do you go from understanding stuff in a classroom to actually using a language professionally? Well, this next step was one of the most crucial tests of all. In 2014, Francisco started a job at a call center. He estimates that this one job boosted his listening and speaking skills by a massive 1,000%. It was like he hit a language learning hyperdrive. So here's the key. That intense, real-world immersion was the final push he needed. It took his English to a whole new level of fluency. And it just proves there's no substitute for having to think and speak on your feet every single day. And that brings us to today. The journey that started with a video game has evolved into something much, much deeper, shaping not just his career, but his entire view of the world. And here is where his story comes beautifully full circle. That love for history that first drew him to a video game now fuels his passion for language itself, seeing it not just as words, but as a window into human culture, legacy, and of course, history. So, what's the big takeaway for you? It's that your own interest, your passions, can be your most powerful learning tool. With that in mind, let's do a quick activity based on Francisco's story to check what you've learned. Okay, let's test your memory. Look at the two statements on the screen. First one, Francisco loved learning languages from a very young age. Is that true or false? It's false. Remember, his first passion was history. Now for the second one. Working in a call center was the most important step for his speaking skills. And that one is true. He called it the pivotal point. Great job, everyone. The most important lesson here is to find your own fun and unique way to learn.